I always tell people that I don't know that there would have ever been a Darryl Worley Foundation if it weren't for my parents, because my mom and dad were so adamant about keeping our feet on the ground and knowing who we are. I guess we were all kind of in the same boat, at least out in, near Pyburn and Nixon, where I grew up. Nobody was rich, and everybody pitched in and helped one another. It's kind of the old country way, the community way, and so seeing all that and having my mom and dad's influence in my life just made me want to do things to bring it back home sometimes.
The Darryl Worley Foundation got started originally in 2001. Gerald Wayne Christian was in a terrible accident. So a group of people in the community wanted to meet and figure out a way that we could raise some funds to assist the family. Out of that, the idea came up of let's contact Darryl.
And I said, I want it to be a place where people can turn to when they have hit the very rock bottom and they got no place else to turn. Fate brings horrible things on our lives sometimes, and it may not be insured, but I said I want it to be that kind of place. I want it to be where somebody goes, we're done, I got no other options, and somebody in the room speaks up and says, hey, there's the Darryl Worley Foundation.
We want to mirror Darryl's heart, which is for the community, for Hardin County and the surrounding area.
Second Wind was my mother's favorite song. Many times when you've fallen into addiction or whatever horrible car accidents left you and you didn't have any insurance, or your house burned down, whatever it might be, that second wind might be a second chance. To me, that is the Darryl Worley Foundation. And I think it's odd that I would write that song, and it was totally personal about some things that had gone on in my own life. But if we're cool with throwing the book wide open and sharing those experiences with other people, sometimes you wind up helping somebody, and at the end of the day, that's what all this is about.
When we initially started, our focus was just on some immediate individual needs maybe, but as we got a foothold, the Cancer Treatment Center was something that Darryl had always had in his mind. We started doing some things in the recovery area too. Aspel approached us, and so we were able to help them with that project. We've been involved in the schools with Leader in Me programs that we really could see, the results from those with the kids that were impacted. In the past fiscal year, we were able to help about 170 different recipients, and that could be individuals or organizations. Some of these organizations we help, we may give them $5,000 for as their request, and it's able to help countless people, through whatever project they're involved in, whether it be food baskets, coat drives, different things like that. And then, we do some major projects like the Cancer Treatment Center, the Aspel Recovery Center, and the Second Wind, proposed community center that we're looking at. Those things are major, and that's a need that I think the community has had and will have. But also these daily issues are ones that don't go away, and I think we've actually, over the last few years, we've seen those increase pretty dramatically.
It'd be odd because I wrote a song, my biggest song, Have You Forgotten? I think there's a lot of people that are forgotten. I think, and they also feel forgotten, and they know that they're forgotten. That's not a good place for people to be. In these situations where I have seen people broken so badly that you literally wonder if they'll be able to go on. And we've been able to, facilitate a house for them to move into, or whatever it might be. Gosh, there's just so much that I'm proud of.
My big thing was always like playing college football. That was the plan and was talking to colleges, had different colleges looking at me, and when I was 16, everything changed overnight. I had a horrible car accident, hit a bridge, a guardrail, missed the curve, hit a guardrail. And, from the moment my head hit the windshield, I was paralyzed from the chest down.
Towards the middle of my high school is when I lost a couple friends to drinking and driving. I personally dove more into drinking. I lost my dad to an overdose at that time. It just progressively got darker and darker and darker. I started taking pain pills.
I was diagnosed in 2020 with breast cancer. My dad had died from cancer, so, all that was going through my head about him dying. And, that's the first thing you start thinking is, oh my gosh, my dad just passed. Now I've got it.
I was going to jail more just because of, all the stuff that I was doing to get the drugs or whatever, right? I was sitting there waiting on the judge, and the public defender came back and told me, I'm not sure what changed in his heart, but he said, if you'll go get help, we will drop everything today. And my first thought was, well, if I could just stay in jail a little bit longer, I might not have to go do treatment, And I've got a son, and at the time he was about 7 years old. And she said, or your son will find you in an alley dead.
It's very hard. I think losing my hair was the hardest on this chemo this time. And it's been really tough. I have had no use of my arm for several months now. And just the aches and the pains that you get with it. When I was diagnosed with stage 4, and I'm still at stage 4. And I'm still going strong. And we've been going to the cancer centers here. They've got me on, research chemo and getting me going. We traveled to Columbia for my radiologist. We traveled to Nashville, to Saracana. We do have to travel to Columbia quite a bit for PT. So it's a lot of traveling, a lot of going.
I remember being at the high school. I'm in the midst of adjusting to this crazy quadriplegic life. And I remember being told, hey, Darryl Worley's helping you out and stuff, and he wants to meet you. He came up to the high school to meet me, and that's one thing I remember that's really cool. But the Darryl Worley Foundation was super helpful for helping us, just get things you need. And unfortunately, this wheelchair, is like $6,000. A pair of tires can cost a ton, and hospital beds.
They were able to help with gas and help us get to appointments. I'm very grateful, because if it hasn't been for the foundation, I may have not made none of the appointments that I've made now. And I know there's other people out there that's on a fixed income, just like I am, that needs that help to get to their appointments too.
And I remember just thinking that. I pictured it. I imagined him going through the same thing I just went through a year ago, losing my dad. And that's when I agreed, and took about 4 days, and I was out of jail and headed to Asheville. The people in Jackson thought, for me, because I was hard-headed and young and wild, right? And they were like, I think he would be a good fit for that place in Savannah. So I come here, and I was a little bit thrown off, honestly, because I'd never felt anything like that. Prior to all of that, I had never felt wanted.
So I'm a sophomore in college at Mississippi State this year. The Leader in Me program instilled these values in me at a young age. So it made me look forward to going to school, and it's characteristics that you can take not only in school but in your personal life.
I was real hesitant to drive right after my car wreck. I really had no interest, And so, God, for several years, my parents, my friends, my girlfriends would drive me around. And when the Darryl Worley Foundation helped me, get some equipment to play wheelchair rugby, and I go to a tournament, this guy's jumping in a truck, and this one's driving a van, and this one's in a car. And I saw all these people doing stuff, I was like, it's time to drive.
I got my certificate, and he gives us a coin when we complete here. And I went back there, and somebody took a picture of me. I was just smiling. I'd never completed much up until that point, whether it was school or anything. I always quit. So I found that was my first time, I guess, of like succeeding.
I thought it was so important starting at a young age because it really just like sets like what priorities you need to have. Or like in college, I have to do all my homework first before I can like go home or go hang out with my friends, and it's just something that like you'll take with you the rest of your life.
Once I gained all that independence, actually was able to start working because I could drive. You know, now I'm the associate director at the Middle Tennessee State University Disability Access Center. And it's funny, when I was a student, you know, I needed certain accommodations at MTSU, and so now I'm the guy, you know, running that office. You know, I am able now to help a lot of people that I wouldn't have been able to.
You know, I think it took that darkness, and I took that, you know, reconstruction for me to really know what it means to be a dad. I had no example. I come from a long line of alcoholism. Everyone in my family, every man in my family up until me drank heavily. And I hope that I put the end to that, like, generational curse, you know? And now my son doesn't have to go through what I went through. When I could list all of the things that me and my dad had ever done together on one hand, it would take me a day to list the things that me and my son have been able to do.
It makes me feel really excited that people are out there to help you. You're not by yourself. You do have people and other people that will help you. Between my husband and God, I got this. I believe I can get through this with them too, and all the people that help. I'll be here for the next 30 years.
The Leader in Me program creates so many leaders from such a young age, and I think that's so important, especially in Savannah, because we're a small town, so we need really strong leaders. It was such like a highlight in my life from kindergarten to 5th grade, and not only like during those years, but it has helped me so much for the rest of my life, and having these values and just knowing like what's important and how to help others and make an impact on the community.
Without the Darryl Worley Foundation, I don't know where I would be, because they helped me at a time when not everybody would, you know, like you're going through stuff, and it'd be really easy to just lay in bed all day, every day, and do nothing, you know, and the other option is to fight and be like, hey, I'm not gonna let this situation beat me. And so by, you know, choosing to do that and being able to go out and help other people, you know, there's been a lot of lives impacted. I'm grateful for all they've done for me and all they do for other people too, man.
I think a lot of times when you start something like the Darryl Worley Foundation, you don't, in the beginning, you don't have a lot of a thought process for going way down the line. You just see what's happening right now. Of course, I have an incredible vision for the future of our foundation.
You know, one of the things we've done lately is we had a strategic planning session. You know, there are some major projects that we have in mind now that we're hoping to and have started trying to develop and see those, I guess, come to fruition, just like the Cancer Treatment Center did. And yeah, you know, one project I'll mention, we have discussed for several years a community center. You know, what exactly that will look like, you know, that's what we're trying to decide. So those will be unveiled, you know, shortly.
But the funds and the dollars and the money that those people have given to the cause, I want them to know I love them and I appreciate them and all that stuff. But the thing I would probably say to them, and hopefully it would mean a lot to them, is that we wouldn't have been able to do this without them. They're just as much a part of this as I am.
I have supported it since the day I found out about it, and I recommend and urge and encourage everybody to contribute money. That's what makes this thing work. The reason this is so important to me is that I and we are able to help people through the Darryl Worley Foundation that we would never know about it. We would never know about their need. I mean, we've all got things that have happened to us that we can't believe happened. How did I get here? How did this happen? The other day I was talking to someone and I found out that they've built close to 100 wheelchair ramps for people to try to having to get into their homes. This is a need that is not being met unless someone like us helps them. That is a wonderful feeling to know that what you're giving is going to flow through, and somebody you didn't even know about who needs something is going to benefit from that. That feels good.
Well, I can honestly look someone in the eye and say partnering with the Darryl Worley Foundation is a good investment in the community, because I see it every day of where that money is getting put in the hands and taking care of needs.
I just would like to see this thing grow into something much bigger than it is. I mean, I never stop reaching for the stars, and I think that's what we should do. And I believe the Darryl Worley Foundation has a happy and bright future.